Welcome to our few moments together on the Parsha. This Shabbos, we have the privilege of reading Parshas Noach. Now, everyone is aware of the fact that it says in the Pasuk that Noach ish tzaddik tamim hayah b'doro sav, that he was a completely righteous person in his generations, and there's a discussion that Rashi brings down. Some say it means he was righteous in his generation and would have been even more righteous had he been born into a generation of righteous people. And some say, no, he was only righteous in his generation, but would not have been righteous had he been born, let's say, in the time of Avraham Avinu. No matter. The fact is that Noach was not the progenitor of the Jewish people. He lived in a time in which the world was destroyed, and despite any efforts he may have made, it didn't seem as if the efforts bore any fruit, because he didn't accomplish that anyone decided to go in a more proper path, but rather the pasuk says, "Vatishaches haaretz lifnei ha'elokim," and the land was destructive before God. The land, the people, the animals, everything was of a super destructive nature, self-destructive, destructive in the terms of lewdness, lack of morality, lack of principles, lack of values, the kinds of people that had absolutely no boundaries because there was no right and no wrong, and they did whatever they wished. And therefore it became purely destructive, and there were no rules or regulations by which they abided. And that's why when Noach comes out of the ark, he is given what is called the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach, the 7 laws of the sons of Noach, which apply to all non-Jews, even today. But the interesting pasuk, the interesting sentence is, that was Vatishaches haaretz lifnei ha'elokim, that the land was destructive before God. And Vayar Elokim, and God saw v'hinei nishchasa, and it was destructive. Only Hashem, only God saw that it was destructive. Says Reb Simcha Zissel from Kelm Zal. He says, no one else looked upon the world as being bad or being immoral. Only in God's eyes was it considered immoral. And consequently, none of them were able to listen to Noach and to try to change and to do a tshuva, which could have protected the world from the destruction of the flood. It was only in God's eyes that it was destructive. But the society at large, they thought that what they were doing was correct. Sometimes I think to myself that we need people to stand up and to say, enough is enough. Enough of the lack of morality. Enough of the lack of values. Enough of saying that what really is not all right is all right. Enough of saying rights do not belong in the hands of certain people who are acting not right. We've got to reach the point where it's not just Vatishaches haaretz lifnei ha'elokim, Vayar Elokim v'hinei nishchasa. It's not just that the land was destructive and God saw it was destructive. We too have to have a moral compass. And so, even though Noach was not the progenitor of the Jewish people, the Torah records Noach's history so that we can learn from it. And we can learn that if we don't stand up and protest, at least say in our eyes it is incorrect. And even if the only one we're protesting to is ourselves, and to our children, and to our grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, even if we're the only ones telling them this is unacceptable, this is wrong, we will not be like the generation of Noach, but will be the generation of Avraham Avinu. So Noach, he had his challenges. The generation did not listen because it was only in God's eyes that it was not correct. In our eyes, we have to view when things are of an immoral, anti-Torah nature. We protest. We tell our children, we tell our families, we explain why it's wrong, why it's unacceptable. And this way, it won't be Vayar Elokim, V'hinei Nishchasa, that God saw it was destructive, but it will be that the Jewish people saw it was destructive, and that, in turn, will save the world from another destruction. We learned from Noach, he might have been righteous, he might have even been more righteous in the time of Abraham. Perhaps if the people learned from his protest, maybe he would have accomplished a lot more. We should be worthy to be the kinds of people that have that moral compass that is given to us by Hashem, by God, through the teachings of the Torah. Have a wonderful Shabbos.